Stories of haunted houses are well known, but hospitals also have their share of frightening tales. Tragic events and the emotions they bring often create a haunting atmosphere in these places. Healthcare workers are often the most exposed to these frightening stories. After a patient's death, doctors and nurses must spend extended periods in the hospital's haunting corridors and abandoned operating rooms. Today, we will share some of the most unsettling and unexplained incidents that have taken place in hospitals. In Western Canada, there was a police officer named Ron Ware. Although he had no knowledge of the hospital's history, it was located in a remote, spooky area at night. On his night shift in the emergency department, Ron witnessed various tragic events, including suicides, homicides, and accidents. As a police officer, Ron's job was to maintain the safety of all patients and assist doctors and nurses with transferring bodies to the morgue. The morgue, located on the basement floor of the old and creepy hospital, was Ron's destination for transferring a body one day. However, a surprising and unexpected event took place that left him stunned. As he carried the body down the quiet, empty corridors, he noticed movement inside the body bag. He stopped and wondered if it was his imagination, or if the bag actually shifted. Despite having heard of post-mortem spasms, he was not a doctor and could not explain the body's movements. But what happened next had no scientific explanation. After observing the movement, Ron decided to open the bag to determine if the man was dead or alive. As he opened the bag, the body shifted once again, and to Ron's horror, the man's eye opened, and he heard a muffled voice say, "Help me." Ron screamed and called for the doctors. They found the man's pulse to be non-existent, confirming that he was already dead and could not have spoken. The doctor told Ron that he was likely experiencing a hallucination and suggested he take a break. But Ron insisted that the body had really moved and the voice he heard came from it. Despite the fact that his shift wasn't over, the doctor took charge of the body and Ron left. In his car, he couldn't shake the thought of why the man had asked for help. But before he could fully contemplate, he received a call from the emergency department asking him to come quickly due to an emergency. Ron arrived at the hospital and noticed the sirens were activated. He began to inspect the building and found the reception lights were turned off. He heard muffled sounds coming from inside and felt like someone was watching him, but found no one there. The doors began to open and close on their own, which was unnerving. Ron returned to the reception hall and was surprised to see the lights on when they had been off just moments before. The doors were slamming shut and opening again, and the lights were turning on and off by themselves, making the situation even scarier. Ron suspected that the body he had transported could be behind the strange events. He felt uneasy and urgently needed to leave the building. Throughout the night, he ruminated on what had happened. Later, he found out that he was not the only one to experience such terror, and that many hospital staff members had also undergone similar unexplainable occurrences. Despite these strange happenings, the mystery surrounding the location remains unsolved. Investigator Marlene Pelliser was summoned by the police to investigate the death of a child who drowned in a swimming pool. The incident happened at 2:00 a.m., and the child was declared dead after his breathing stopped. Marlene's goal was to find out the cause of the child's death and determine if it was a mistake or foul play. She hoped her investigation could potentially save other children from a similar fate. At the hospital, Marlene picked up the child's case file and instructed the nurse to include all pertinent information about the death. She found working on cases involving children, whether they were witnesses or victims, extremely challenging, and it drives her to uncover the truth. At the nurse's office, Marlene felt as if a small apparition passed by her, but when she turned around, no one was there. This feeling of being watched had happened more than once, but she ignored it and focused on her mission. The nurse informed Marlene that the report wasn't yet complete, but it might be ready in an hour if she returns. Marlene left the hospital and contacted the family of the deceased child, asking them to grant her access to their home for the investigation. The family was away, as the house was considered a crime scene and a place of investigation. During her drive to the house, Marlene felt like she was being watched and took precautions such as locking the car doors and checking the backseat. Despite her experience handling cases and investigating child deaths, this particular case made her feel uneasy. When she arrived at the house, Marlene immediately went to the pool where the child had drowned. She examined the area and pondered potential safety hazards that may have led to the tragedy. Marlene took photos of the pool and backyard as part of her investigation, considering all possibilities of the incident. It was a painful and eerie feeling to think that a child had died in that place just hours before. Despite her growing fear, Marlene tried to focus on her work. As she approached the other side of the house, she heard something drop into the pool. She rushed to the pool, but found nothing. With no trees or pets in the area, the source of the noise remained a mystery. The presence of the police added to Marlene's unease, as she feared someone may be hiding in the dark house. After a second, heavier drop was heard in the pool. Marlene searched the area, but found no explanation for the noise. Marlene took a step back and noticed something was amiss, but she couldn't leave until she finished her investigation. So she entered the two-story house and continued her work. The house was a crime scene, and there was no one around. Marlene started taking pictures, but was suddenly startled by a noise that sounded like footsteps, as if a child was running upstairs. She felt like someone was in the house, so she went up to check. Marlene thought that a family member might still be inside, which is illegal. She searched every room, including closets and under the beds, but found no one. Marlene was the only one in the house, feeling done and bewildered. She gathered her things and returned to the hospital to retrieve the report. At 4 a.m., Marlene arrived at the hospital and was surprised to see a small child in the hallway. She asked about his parents, but when she tried to approach him, he ran away. She chased after him, trying to stop him. "Don't be afraid, I'm trying to help you." "Stop," she said. The child ran through one of the hallways, and Marlene followed him. But she was shocked to find that it was a dead end. The child was nowhere to be seen. How strange, there was no exit, only a wall. Marlene went to the nurse and asked if she had seen the child she was following, but the nurse seemed confused and told her there were no children there. Despite seeing the nurse looking at the child while following him, Marlene found this impossible. Marlene had a strange night. She disregarded her fears and requested the drowning incident report for the child. When she opened the report, she saw a photo of the child and was shocked to realize that it was the same child she had been pursuing in the hospital corridors. Marlene believed that he was behind all the strange events that occurred that night. He was the one who was following her around the house and was the source of all the noises in the pool. Marlene continued her investigation into the child's death, but did not include her supernatural experiences in the report for fear of losing credibility. She saw the dead child or his ghost, but such supernatural events should not be included in a death report. Over time, Marlene retired but still remembered the incident and the child's face, yet she was never able to find answers to her questions. Let's return to Canada and focus on Anne Davis, a 14-year-old girl who frequently visited her grandfather in the hospital. She and her mother had a close relationship with her grandfather, who was the only grandparent for both of them. Despite the hospital being an uncomfortable environment, Anne made an effort to spend as much time with her grandfather as possible by bringing her books and doing her homework there. Normally, she would return home at night to rest before going to school in the morning, but on this particular occasion, she decided to spend the night at the hospital and skip school the following day. However, she felt hungry in the middle of the night and was unable to find anything to eat. Anne asked her mother for food but was told that there wasn't any and was directed to the cafeteria. However, when she got there, she found that it was closed, so her mother gave her some coins to buy something from a vending machine. The only option was on the first floor where Anne went, but because it was late at night, there were no receptionists present. As she approached the vending machine, She heard a hushed voice speaking to her, but when she turned around she saw no one. Despite feeling scared, she persisted in getting food as she was hungry. However, the voice continued to speak, and she heard someone say, "Leave now." This caused Ain to feel as if she was being followed, and she rushed to the upper floor. As she made her way to her grandfather's room, she felt as if something was dragging her towards the voice's source. Upon reaching the room, she was motionless when she saw a long shadow slowly leaving the room. Ain was shocked to find out that her grandfather had passed away when she entered his room. She felt that the shadow she saw leaving the room belonged to her grandfather. Her mother also reported seeing the same shadow. Supernatural investigators explained that these events were caused by the wandering souls of the deceased. However, some people believe that the souls return to heaven and don't stay on earth as they belong to God. Despite the fact that these events have been reported by witnesses, the true explanation remains unknown. It could be due to jinn or simply delusions. There are still many supernatural phenomena that we cannot explain. If you have any thoughts on this topic, please share them with me. Have you ever experienced anything similar? Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and sharing it to support me. The better is yet to come.